Can't take a hit? Barely noticed.
I took martial arts for a number of years until I was like 14, 15 years old. And it was primarily performance-based martial arts, specifically one called XMA. And yeah, so I came in for the audition. At the time, it wasn't labeled as a Star Wars thing. It was only a high-profile game. But I kind of knew just by reading it, I was like, this is Star Wars. This is definitely Star Wars. I know this tone. After I did the scene, they handed me a toy lightsaber. We're like, we just want to see what you can do with this. And I was like, all right, first of all, I knew it. Secondly, all right. And so I gave it a shot. I was pretty rusty. I had to really go back into the dark reaches of my mind and see what I could pull out. But I managed to remember a bunch of different flourishes and moves and stuff. And I guess it was good enough that they were like, you can do something with it. And then once I got onto set, we trained specifically what we wanted the style to be. You know, he grew up within a traditional Jedi training context for the first 12 or so years of his life. And then all that was violently ripped away from him. The Jedi Purge happened and he went on the run and hiding. So it's interesting, so he has a certain level of training in finesse and grace, but he also is raw and with a certain level of kind of like a brutal, hard-hitting style as well. It's a mix of the two, and I think that's a reflection of who Cal is as a person. He's kind of caught between both things. You know, he's optimistic, but he's cautious. He's good-hearted, but he's stubborn. He's got these things that I think is kind of reflected in his fighting style. It's interesting because, you know, not only do you have your body covered in tracking points when you're doing motion capture, but you also have a pretty heavy helmet that has a big camera on a stick on the end of it. I did have a lot of times when you know, the helmet would like get decapitated, and because the motion trackers are on the helmet, you would see like a live image of the character and his head would just like flop off and go to the back of his body and stuff. It was really gruesome looking. So that's pretty challenging when you're doing like lightsaber combat and stuff. And I remember rocking myself a few times by swiping the camera. The equipment is not cheap. It's very expensive, and so anytime I was like diving to the ground and stuff, I would have, you know, multiple technicians kind of going like right off to the side. But you know, it was important that I tried to do a significant amount that I could. We had great stunt performers who would do a lot too, and I wanted to do it myself because I felt that the emotion and stuff would carry into the performance, and that the physical performance also would affect, you know, the expression.
Trust only in the Force.
The lightsaber is Cal's main tool. It's kind of like his long-term ally. It's the thing that's been with him for the longest, and it has such spiritual and emotional meaning for a Jedi, so it's close to him. Cal's lightsaber is a reflection of him. It also changes and shifts over the course of the game. The lightsaber does have a history. The reason why it's broken is explored, and it's a very important moment in Cal's life. It's a moment of trauma for him, in the fact that the exposed wires of the sabers sort of like, it's a bit of exposed vulnerability within Cal as well. They 3D printed multiple versions of the lightsaber that we used for when we were doing motion capture of it, but I had one that I used pretty much over the course of the entirety of the game, and at the end of it I took it home. I was just like, I'm stealing this. Not even asking. This is the one thing that I'm taking. I'm just taking it. I'm taking it. So I still have it. It's in my living room, and it's kind of like it's a piece of pride for me. It was in pretty bad shape by the end of it. It had been like taped together and kind of cobbled together and glued and stuff because it had been broken from so many times from the different action scenes. But I like that. I like that it has so much character. It just feels like Cal to me.